Yes, people, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV and welcome back to some more great transfer news. Is it really breaking news if it's expected? Do you know what I mean? It's not much of a surprise, is it? Newcastle United got another bid rejected. Rejection FC this window. Newcastle United £25 million bid rejected for Joao Pedro. Watford's Joao Pedro, they've rejected another bid from us. It's just came out in the past hour or so. Newcastle had submitted a new bid, 22 million plus 3 million add-ons. That was off the back of the 70 million plus 3 million add-ons last few days. So the other day we offered 20 million in total. This afternoon we offered 25 million in total, and Watford have rejected that one as well. Now it is 7:45 on recording of this, and at around 7:15 the Athletic have broke that Watford reject second bid for Newcastle in region of 25 million including add-ons. And it is unclear if that is the end of the matter at this stage. Now, so Newcastle have had their second attempt at luring the Brazilian away from Vicarage Road rejected. He's not going to be at St James's Park anytime soon by the looks of it, unless Newcastle up that bid. Now it remains to be seen whether we will go back in for Pedro. Watford value him at £30 million, and they today have expressed a strong desire to keep Pedro at the club because they see him as being vital in their plans to get promotion back to the Premier League. Now, he scored on the opening day against Sheffield United. That was the winner. He hasn't scored in the last couple of games. He seemed to be sulking. He seemed to be a bit uninterested. He seemed to be shite, to be honest, the other night when they played on Tuesday. But that could be because he wants to move. Apparently, Pedro is very keen on the move, obviously. Why would he not want to come to Newcastle? He's probably scratching his head thinking, why the fuck do they want me? Not like, just like I am. But no, I'm not trying to take the piss too much, but you know what I mean? He's probably thinking, well, I can stay at Watford in the Championship. I'll go to the Premier League at Newcastle with Bruno, Joe Linton and everyone else. Yes, of course I want that move. I'll snap your bloody hand off. But Watford see him as a big part of their future, not just to get them promoted, but to stay with the club and grow. Now, they've let Dennis go. They were happy about that. Apparently, Dennis, his character and attitude is questionable, and that's why Newcastle didn't pay the money for him, and he's went to Nottingham Forest for £22 million. Ismail Sarr, the other Watford star of the front three of Dennis, Sarr and Pedro, is on his way to Crystal Palace. It seems like they are currently in talks with Patrick Vieira's Palace. It sounds like a location. Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace to get Sarr to the club. So all they're left with is Pedro now. They surely can't afford to lose another one of their forwards. And Pedro, they actually apparently see him as more of a future than the other two. Now, I think Dennis and Sarr are about 24, 25 years old. Pedro turns 21 next month. So they see him as a bright future at the club. Now, I've said openly that I'm not interested in Pedro. I think it's underwhelming signing. I think it's an over-expensive signing, especially when it looks like it's going to have to reach the echelons of £30 million to get a player that scored 3 goals in the Premier League last season and 1 assist. And his stats aren't great overall, but Watford fans, to be fair, have been on Twitter and been in my comments and DMs saying he's class, he's unbelievable, his potential's huge. You'd be so lucky to have him. People linking him to like a Firmino type player. Is that just because he's Brazilian or what? But I haven't seen that. But hey, I said I'm not bothered about Pedro. I'm really not. It's one of the names I'm least excited about that I've been linked with all summer, and there's been a lot of them. But for me, obviously if he came, you'd back him, you'd trust Eddie Howe to get a tune out of him. But I'm really not asked about Pedro. I haven't seen enough to get excited about, but we desperately need a forward, and if they think Ashworth and Howe know more than me, they have to do so. I'll be trusting them that they believe Pedro could do something in that front three, could offer Newcastle an option off the bench for Wilson and whatnot, and it does make sense since he is a younger player. So, you know, back him if he comes, but for now, I'm not asked that it's been rejected, and I wouldn't be asked if we didn't go back in for him. Earlier on Thursday, Rob Edwards, Watford's head coach, had this to say on Pedro. He said the bid that has come in, that's been talked about, that was the initial £20 million bid earlier in the week, isn't anywhere near the level that we'd expected for it to be for him. But we are involved in conversation, and I am involved in that conversation as well. If anything else was to come in again, then we'll sit down and talk about it as a club and as a board. So obviously they've sat down and talked about the 25 million offer and came up with the same solution, the same answer. Not good enough, not big enough. They want more. They're obviously holding out for 30 million, which is bonkers to me. There's no way we can go and pay 30 million for a Championship player, which is what he currently is. Last year, his stats on Premier League quality, 3 goals, man. How I know it was a struggling Watford side, but Dennis was doing well, Saul was doing well. I don't know. So it remains to be seen if Newcastle will go back in for Joao Pedro. Do they think he's worth 30 million? Probably not, because isn't that the reason why the Gonzalo Ramos deals went quiet? Because We offered 20 to 25 and they want 30 to 35. And now everybody else is trying to come in. You know, Southampton have been linked with him. Wolves have been linked with him. So I don't know. Surely I don't see we're going back in for Pedro. I think Pedro was right the way down the list of from the likes of Ekitike, Calvert-Lewin, Ivan Toney, Ramos, and now way down the line Pedro. And then if they're thinking, well, it's still going to cost a ridiculous sum of money, it's not worth it. Probably going to move on to other targets now. You know, we're still linked massively with the Chelsea targets. Luke Edwards from The Telegraph, who's more negative than I've been in this video and than I've been on Pedro. You know, he loves a bit of negativity, does Luke Edwards. He said that Newcastle are interested in loans for Chelsea's Pulisic and Conor Gallagher, and they're the leading targets on top of Hudson-Odoi and Broja that we've inquired about. Anybody that plays for Chelsea will take them. And then he said on Pedro at Watford there's firm interest, but growing concern Watford do not want to sell him this window. Nothing close incoming. So he says we're not close to saying anyone, Luke Edwards, but he also said we wouldn't spend any money this summer, so he was wrong on that. But well, to be fair, what we spent so far, not far off it, but we're still surely going to eclipse what he said we would spend early on. In other news, in outgoings, we're talking about Bruno Guimarães, and Real Madrid are interested in Bruno. That they can fuck right off. Take your hands off Bruno. He's ours, and he's ours for years to come. He's going nowhere. Bruno is going nowhere. Bruno's a Geordie. He loves it here. Let's keep him here. You know, it would be hard in a way if Real Madrid came in. You know what I mean? They win the Champions League every year. It would appeal to every player. But I think Bruno's settling in here. He loves it here. Surely he's believing in the project. But I've seen a lot of comments in our videos and socials as well saying, look, there's no way that Bruno and Botman and Trippier and that signed off the back of being linked with Pedro. You know what I mean? They were linked with big names. We sold the dream to these players that the project was there and that we're going to sign this, that and everyone. They didn't come here to sign Watford strikers, surely. So you can understand maybe they would be frustrated just like some of the fan base are. But Mark Douglas here from iPaper, who obviously used to work for the Chronicle, North East football correspondent Mark Douglas, has said Newcastle United will not entertain offers for Bruno Guimarães. He's been linked with Real Madrid heavily in the Spanish media in the last 24 hours, and he's been lined up for the replacement of Casemiro. Casemiro targeted by Manchester United at the minute, so it looks like Casemiro is likely to end up at Old Trafford, but Newcastle won't sell him in this transfer window, is what Douglas has said. I want to see that extended, not this transfer window, never. We'll sell Bruno never, is what I want to see. I want to see Bruno here until he retires. I want Bruno to be our bloody Paul Scholes. Speaking of Manchester United, I want him here until he's 35. You know what I mean? They'll kind of be letting Bruno go, but Bruno is of interest to Real Madrid in that. I would say would scare us normally if it wasn't for this ownership and the projection that we're on and the trajectory of the club, but hey, I mean, he must be looking, you cannot blame him. If we've said to him, look, we're going to push for Europe and stuff, there's no way this current squad gets into Europe. No way. We need at least one more player, and it needs to be a big player like a Maddison, a Paqueta, a top striker, you know. At the minute, we're not finishing top 6, like no way, not even top 8 for me. Probably not with this squad, so we need a couple more signings. Like I said, when we've been talking to Bruno, he said he was excited by that project, this, that and the other. You don't want to get impatient. This project's very much long term. We're not going to be able to spend big until, you know, 2-3 years time when the sponsorship deals, the revenue, everything else comes into play. But if Real Madrid come in with an offer for Bruno, that would be awful. How devastating would it be to see him go so quick? But I cannot see that happen. I don't think he would want to move yet, as much as, like I said, Real Madrid, 9 out of 10 players, if not 10 out of 10 players, dream of playing for Real Madrid. I think everyone says that when they're growing up, whether that be a Gareth Bale from Britain or a Ronaldo from Brazil. You know, they all dream of playing for Real Madrid, don't they? It's the cliche when they grow up. Oh, I've always wanted to play for my country. Oh, I've always wanted to play for Real Madrid. It's one of the biggest powerhouses in world football, isn't it? So you kind of blame them for wanting to play for Real Madrid. Like I say, they're always there and thereabouts in the Champions League, winning the trophy most years. So, it'd be awful if they came in for him. It'd be a sticky one, but I don't think we would entertain it like Douglas has said, and I don't think Bruno would probably want to move yet. Hopefully not. Hopefully he would say, I'm going to give it a couple of years at Newcastle, see what direction this club's going, see what people we're bringing in. And obviously he's settled on in Newcastle now, and him and his missus and stuff like that. He's got a lovely dog, hasn't he? So hopefully that's not the case. It'd be awful to see Bruno go. Anyways, that'll do for this video. Let us know in the comments below what you think of this video. Would you go in for another bid for Joao Pedro? Is he worth £30 million? What about the Chelsea loanees? Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi and Gallagher. Broja ones went a bit quiet, to be fair. And then Bruno to Real Madrid. How long do you think Bruno Guimarães will be at Newcastle United for? Cheers for watching, everyone. Smash that like button and subscribe to Magpie Channel TV and enjoy yourself.